What I thought I was doing was just writing an entertaining, funny story about this very weird life that I've had. It was an unusual life.
At 89 years old, Hollywood legend Alan Alda just dropped a bombshell that's turning heads and stirring decades-old drama from one of television's most beloved shows, MASH. In a recent rare and raw interview, Alda cracked open a vault of memory and emotion to address a long-suspected, but never confirmed clash with co-star Jackie Cooper. While the public always viewed their on-screen camaraderie as seamless, the reality behind the camera was far more complicated and at times tense. Alan Alda, known for his wit, depth, and vision, revealed that the friction wasn't about ego or fame. It was about something far more delicate: artistic integrity. For years, rumors circled that Cooper and Alda couldn't see eye to eye. Now, Alda is pulling back the curtain on what really happened. And what he says about the fallout will shock even the most loyal MASH fans. Get ready. This revelation doesn't just rewrite history. It reignites a firestorm around one of television's most iconic partnerships. Not without tension. During the height of MASH's popularity, audiences saw a seamless camaraderie between its lead characters. But behind the scenes, tension simmered between Alan Alda and Jackie Cooper. While their chemistry appeared effortless, their contrasting creative philosophies often led to subtle power struggles on set. Alan Alda, known for his improvisational instincts and deeply humanistic portrayal of Hawkeye, pushed for a raw, emotionally honest tone. He often advocated for unscripted moments, believing they brought authenticity to the show's portrayal of war. Jackie Cooper, on the other hand, preferred a cleaner, more disciplined approach. As B.J. Honeycutt, he championed the importance of sticking to the script, trusting the writer's structure to carry the emotional weight. This clash of methods didn't explode into public drama, but it created a quiet friction that permeated the show's final seasons. Directors and producers were often caught in the middle, mediating between Alda's creative freedom and Cooper's adherence to discipline. Alda now acknowledges that while their disagreements were never personal, they were persistent and shaped key episodes in ways viewers never realized. Alda has recently spoken about how those creative tensions, while difficult at times, ultimately forced both men to dig deeper into their characters. It wasn't always easy, Alda admits, but it made the work better. He even credits Cooper with sharpening his own performances, saying that the contrast in styles brought a layered, grounded realism to their scenes. Though they rarely address these struggles publicly, Alda's willingness to revisit the complexity of that working relationship offers a rare, vulnerable glimpse into what made MASH so enduring. It wasn't just the brilliance of its writing or acting. It was the push and pull behind the curtain that made every moment count. Alda's vision. Alan Alda's creative influence on MASH reshaped the show's trajectory from light-hearted satire to profound exploration of the human psyche. By the midpoint of the series, Alda wasn't just playing Hawkeye Pierce. He was shaping the narrative from behind the camera, scripting scenes that dared to peel back the glossy layers of sitcom storytelling. For Alda, war wasn't just a backdrop for jokes. It was a moral and emotional minefield, and he wanted the show to reflect that complexity. He frequently championed episodes that traded punchlines or pauses, letting silence speak louder than dialogue. Themes of grief, moral conflict, and spiritual fatigue began to take center stage, especially in episodes he wrote or directed. He encouraged the cast to dig deeper emotionally, sometimes veering off-script to capture the rawness of a real reaction. His vision elevated MASH into something rare, television that laughed while it wept. But this shift in tone didn't sit well with everyone. Jackie Cooper, who had his own storied background in film and TV, leaned toward a tighter, more disciplined structure. To Cooper, a script was a blueprint to follow, not a suggestion to improvise upon. While he respected Alda's talent, he reportedly grew frustrated with what he saw as Alda's increasingly messy direction. What started as differing philosophies gradually turned into creative tension. Cooper felt the soul of the show was in its ensemble efficiency and punchy pacing, while Alda was steering it toward introspection and thematic depth. Though never erupting into public feuds, the quiet rift between the two actors became palpable on set. Still, it was Alda's vision that ultimately defined MASH's legacy, an uncompromising, deeply human portrayal of people trying to survive both war and themselves. Discipline over emotion, Jackie Cooper's approach to MASH was forged from a lifetime in front of the camera, steeped in the rigid structure of Hollywood's golden age. Having navigated the industry as a child actor during its most grueling era, Cooper developed a work ethic grounded in discipline, efficiency, and total respect for the script. By the time he joined the cast of MASH, Cooper was a seasoned professional who believed deeply in the power of preparation and precision. To Cooper, acting was not a forum for emotional wandering. It was a craft honed by repetition and technical control. He viewed the script not as a suggestion, but as gospel. The rhythm of each scene, the cadence of dialogue, and the careful pacing of character moments were all calculated to maximize impact. Improvisation, especially the kind Alan Alda encouraged, felt to Cooper like a gamble, one that risked undermining the integrity of the scene. This stark contrast in styles led to an unspoken but ever-present creative divide between the two men. Cooper's portrayal of B.J. Honeycutt mirrored his personal ethos, emotionally restrained, always consistent, and fully committed to delivering what was on the page. His performances were clean, tight, and respectful of the ensemble structure. Behind the scenes, however, that difference in philosophy occasionally stirred friction. Cast members noted a subtle undercurrent, long pauses between takes, conversations cut short, and two very different interpretations of what MASH should be. Alda's push for emotional exploration and looser storytelling often clashed with Cooper's methodical nature. While the tension never escalated into overt conflict, its shadow lingered, shaping the legacy of one of television's most celebrated shows. Conflict, it influenced the tone of several episodes. That quiet tug-of-war between free-form emotion and structural discipline shaped the series in a unique way. In retrospect, it was this very tension that added richness to the show, two minds pulling in different directions, yet together creating something timeless. The silent rift between Alan Alda and Jackie Cooper was less about ego and more about fundamentally different ideas of storytelling. It wasn't explosive. It was persistent, like a quiet current running under the surface of otherwise calm waters. Their creative divergence affected everything, from line readings to how a scene emotionally landed. To an outsider, their collaboration may have seemed harmonious, but those on set began to notice the subtle changes. Alda, always pushing for authenticity and emotional realism, wanted the cast to connect deeply with their characters, even if it meant straying from the script. He believed that truth lived in the unscripted moments, the silences, the spontaneous gestures, the rawness. Cooper, on the other hand, came from a background where structure was king. For him, veering off script was a slippery slope that could dilute the scene's impact. The tension came to a head during certain emotionally charged episodes. Alda would suggest shooting a second take with looser dialogue, aiming to mine something deeper. Cooper, already rehearsed and locked into the scene, would quietly object, sometimes with a simple pause or a sharp glance, other times with measured but pointed comment about respecting the script. These interactions never turned confrontational, but they left their mark. Directors noted that what was once effortless chemistry between the two began to feel more performative. There was less playfulness, fewer off-camera laughs, and a noticeable formality to their scenes together. It was clear to many that the collaboration, while never hostile, had run its course. Still, Alda reflects on that period without bitterness. Despite the tension, he says he gained a deep respect for Cooper's professionalism and the emotional discipline he brought to the role. And just when it seemed like their relationship was defined by quiet conflict, Alda's next revelation rewrites everything we thought we knew. No animosity, just divergence. Alan Alda's recent confession offers a rare glimpse into the emotional complexity behind one of television's most iconic shows. There was no animosity, he emphasized. We just saw the show differently. With those words, decades of rumors about a personal feud between Alda and Jackie Cooper begin to dissolve. Instead of resentment, Alda describes a respectful divergence, one rooted in two passionate professionals who simply had opposing visions. Alda speaks with clear admiration for Cooper's dedication. He describes him as a performer who brought unshakable consistency to the set, someone who could deliver every line with precision and authority. But as the show evolved, Alda found himself craving something more raw, something unscripted and vulnerable. Cooper's structure, while dependable, began to feel like a creative ceiling Alda was desperate to break through. Their differences weren't about ego. They were about artistic intent. Alda admits he pushed for emotional improvisation because he believed it brought the characters to life in ways that a strict script couldn't. Cooper, having grown up in a Hollywood system that prized discipline and control, saw that same freedom as a threat to the integrity of the show. The tension, Alda says, was never personal. If anything, it was painful, because both men cared so deeply about MASH. They were trying to protect it in their own way. And when Cooper eventually left the show, Alda concedes that while it was difficult, it also allowed MASH to move fully into the emotionally nuanced territory he'd always envisioned. There were no dramatic confrontations, no grudges held, just a quiet acknowledgement that two gifted artists were no longer traveling the same path. And for Alda, that distinction matters. It wasn't a feud, he says. It was an evolution. Shaping the legacy, once Jackie Cooper stepped away, the tone of the series began to shift dramatically. With Al and Alda assuming greater creative control, the storytelling pivoted toward deeper emotional introspection and philosophical inquiry. Themes of moral ambiguity, psychological unraveling, and ethical conflict began to define the series' identity in its later seasons. Episodes like Dreams and the poignant finale Goodbye, Farewell and Amen revealed just how far Alda was willing to push the medium. These weren't just episodes of a television show. They were explorations of trauma, conscience, and the fragile human spirit under extreme pressure. The comedy remained, but it now came with a haunting undercurrent of truth. Audiences were asked to laugh, but also confront uncomfortable realities about war, death, and survival. Critics applauded the bold direction, and many fans followed Alda's vision without hesitation. But not everyone was on board. Sometimes viewers felt the shift was too somber, missing the balance of levity and structure that Cooper had once brought to the ensemble. The light-hearted rhythm that once defined early seasons had evolved into something heavier, more meditative. Even so, the change cemented the show's legacy as something far more than a sitcom. It became a statement. An artistic reflection on the cost of conflict and the resilience of those caught in its grasp. The creative tension between Alda and Cooper, while never fully resolved, laid the groundwork for this evolution. It wasn't simply a clash of personalities, but of philosophies. And in choosing a path forward, the series revealed the power of perspective in storytelling. How tension fueled brilliance. It's easy to get swept up in the illusion of harmonious on-screen relationships. TV shows often portray friendships as flawless. But behind the scenes, the truth is rarely so neat. Alan Alda's candid reflections on his relationship with Jackie Cooper provide a glimpse into the complexity of their working dynamic, one that was marked by creative tension, yet resulted in some of the most memorable moments in television history. While the friction between Alda and Cooper wasn't overtly destructive, it was certainly palpable. Their different approaches to acting and storytelling created a subtle but undeniable undercurrent of conflict. Alda, who embraced improvisation and emotional exploration, found himself at odds with Cooper, who valued discipline and structure. Yet, as Alda himself admits, this clash of philosophies may have been the very thing that sparked the brilliance of their work. The actors' on-screen characters reflected this dynamic. Hawkeye and BJ often found themselves at emotional crossroads, challenging each other in ways that mirrored the tension between Alda and Cooper. The struggle between spontaneity and order created a unique chemistry, one that brought an additional layer of depth to their performances. Alda's desire to capture the rawness of human emotion pushed Cooper to react in a way that felt more restrained and controlled, but that very contrast enhanced the emotional impact of their scenes. Alda's belief that creative friction can ignite passion is, ironically, the most enduring legacy of their artistic partnership, not merely theoretical. It's a principle that manifested on screen in countless unforgettable moments. The subtle tension between the two actors added a layer of unpredictability, an edge that made their performances feel more authentic. That unscripted quality is part of what has kept the show resonating with viewers even decades after its finale. The brilliance of their collaboration was fueled by their differences, and it's this same contrast that continues to inspire admiration for the series. Still speaking truth at 89, Alan Alda remains an enduring figure in Hollywood, revered not only for his acting prowess, but for his capacity to speak with unflinching honesty. Despite his Parkinson's diagnosis, Alda continues to engage with the world, whether through writing, speaking, or public reflection, with the same emotional intelligence and humor that made him beloved to millions. His openness about his personal experiences, including his complicated relationship with Jackie Cooper, adds to his legacy, not as an attempt to create drama, but to deepen the understanding of what truly goes into creating art. Alda's decision to revisit his creative tension with Cooper serves as a testament to his desire to preserve the humanity behind his work. He doesn't shy away from the less glamorous parts of his journey, including the challenges, disagreements, and sacrifices made in pursuit of something genuine. For Alda, this is not about airing dirty laundry or fueling past conflicts. It's about providing clarity to those who may only see the polished end product. In a time when the public is often fed a constant stream of curated images, Alda's raw honesty stands out. In the age of social media and superficial connections, where many choose to present an idealized version of themselves, Alda's willingness to admit the messy realities of life and work is striking. His reflections aren't just for the sake of closure. They are a valuable reminder of the complexity of artistic creation and the emotional toll it can take. While some may argue that Alda's comments about his past relationship with Cooper reopen old wounds, the actor himself sees it as an overdue reckoning, one that is vital for understanding the real stories behind the screen. For Alda, the truth is part of his lasting legacy, and it's this commitment to honesty that will continue to resonate with audiences for years to come. Nostalgia meets revelation. Since Alan Alda's recent interview, fans of MASH have flocked to social media to share their reactions, a mixture of surprise, relief, and intrigue. Some fans admit they had always sensed an unspoken tension between Hawkeye and BJ, but hearing Alda's words confirmed those suspicions. Others are revisiting episodes, carefully watching for subtle clues, reading between the lines and analyzing body language in scenes where the off-screen tension may have bled through. For many, this revelation has sparked a collective moment of reflection, an acknowledgement that even the brightest stars can carry shadows behind the scenes. In the flood of responses, fans are not just focused on the conflict, they're also reconnecting with the brilliance of MASH itself. Alda's honesty has reignited admiration for the show's depth and complexity. Its ability to balance humor with emotional rawness, its characters' flaws woven into moments of brilliance. Many are reminded of the show's legacy, shaped not only by the stellar performances, but also by the creative struggles and triumphs behind the scenes. The tension between Alda and Cooper is now seen as a part of that story, an element that only deepens the show's already rich narrative. Above all, Alda's reflections have stirred a renewed appreciation for MASH, not just as a cultural phenomenon, but as a piece of television history crafted through the interplay of distinct creative forces. Fans, now aware of the complexities that shaped the show, are reminded of how real-life struggles, disagreements, and growth are integral to the magic of storytelling. The revelation is not just about the past, but about understanding how those behind the scenes made something unforgettable, and how it continues to resonate decades later. Alan Alda has always been a master storyteller, and even now at 89, he's still giving fans stories that matter. His honesty about the clash with Jackie Cooper added a whole new layer to the legacy of MASH, one rooted in passion, tension, and ultimately respect. If this behind-the-scenes revelation surprised you, hit that like button. If you got thoughts on Alda's comments or memories of MASH you want to share, drop them in the comments below. And if you love uncovering the hidden truths behind your favorite shows, subscribe and share this video, because we're only getting started. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more untold stories that shape the screen.